Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Robyn Silverman, Child and Teen Development Specialist specializing in how to talk to kids about tough topics. And I'm also a parent. I'm answering questions and talking to my own kids. And this one is a tough one. When the world is struck by a terrible event like a school shooting, it is natural to want to shield our kids from the effects of it. We want to keep their innocence intact, allowing them to grow up carefree and unfettered, feeling safe and calm wherever they go, especially their schools. We might wonder, if we just don't talk about it, could our kids remain in their happy little bubble for the time being? The problem is, we live in a world where kids receive messages about traumatic events from many different avenues. It's not just the news that we can easily turn off, or even the 24/7 access to the internet that provides a play-by-play as negative stories develop. The truth is, different families have different rules about this kind of access, with multiple kids of various ages in their homes who are permitted to have more access. So that might mean you send your innocent child to school who doesn't know about the scary events that might have occurred, only to have them bombarded with the news from a more informed, or perhaps not accurately so, child on the bus or in class, or a group of kids in class who don't know your kid, who doesn't know your kid's needs and the best way to talk about these terrible tragedies with your sensitive child. Knowing that something has happened, but not having anyone to explain it in age-appropriate terms and how it relates to your specific child can be frightening to anyone. We all need context, assurance, and our own concerns addressed by someone we trust. Our kids actually need information to feel safe. And as a parent or an educator who knows this particular child, you are the perfect person to have this conversation with them. So I've talked about this on national TV shows and in written press, but I thought that it was important to talk about it here with you now after yet another tragic event. It's important to tailor the conversations based on who your kid is, what your kid knows already, what this tragedy means for your child. But most of all, it's important to simply talk, to listen about this tough topic. Not talking about it does not make the fear and sadness or the confusion or questions go away. When we open up these conversations, we're helping our kids process what occurred. So what do we do? Number one, don't shut down feelings. If your children are worried or scared, avoid saying things like, "There's nothing to be scared of, you're fine." They don't feel fine. Instead, say something like, "This does feel scary, doesn't it? What's making you feel scared? I'm here to talk with you and to listen and to hug you." Then you can address that particular fear and normalize it. It's really normal to feel this way. A lot of people feel just like you. Next, share your feelings. It's okay to say, "I'm really sad," or "I'm angry. How do you feel?" Of course, it's best not to unload on our kids the kinds of thoughts that are better reserved for other adults, your significant other, your friends, your therapists. We are trying to connect and empathize and unburden our children rather than add to what they have to carry. Third, provide some mantras as needed. It's normal to personalize what happened, thinking, am I safe? Are my family members safe? In a podcast interview that I did with author of 9 books, Dawn Huebner, including the children's book, Something Bad Happened, she suggests that we partial out our feelings from fear. That is, provide the distinction as a mantra. Just because I am afraid doesn't mean I'm in danger. You can also have them repeat something very simple, like, "I am safe." You can listen to that podcast interview, by the way, on Talking to Kids About When Bad Things Happen, on the How to Talk to Kids About Anything podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, or on my website. Number 4, if your child hasn't said anything, you might ask directly, has any one of your friends or your classmates mentioned what happened at a school in Texas? Or you might say simply, something terrible happened in Texas. Did you hear about it? You can use plain language. You might say, an 18-year-old high school student went into an elementary school in Texas and shot people. Kids and teachers died. The shooter also died and can't hurt any more people. I want you to know what happened in case other people are talking about it at school. Number 5, talk about the people who are helping. The teachers died when they shielded the children from the shooter. This is significant information. They were heroes who helped. The police stopped the shooter. We are grateful to them that they made it so more people did not get hurt. The administrators and the teachers at the school helped hundreds of other children stay safe. You can also talk about what's happening right now. Many adults are talking about what happened and trying to find ways to make sure this doesn't happen again. This is even happening when you sleep. Number 6, talk about how to help. Kids love to be the helpers. They can be active agents in their lives, not just passive recipients of news. How can they help? Perhaps they listen to a friend who's sad. They can give their allowance or a portion of their allowance to the First State Bank of Uvalde, which is collecting a memorial fund for their victims. And they can encourage those who are eligible to donate blood, even saying something like that. Number 7, shift to gratitude, love, and kindness. Extra hugs, making a card for their teacher and saying thank you, doing kind acts in the names of those who were lost. All of those things can help kids feel that they are doing something good in the face of something horrific. Ask them, how can you be extra kind today to someone who needs it? We can do kind acts for all those who are lost. And let's talk about those kind acts at dinner. You'll bring yours, I'll bring mine. Talking to kids about traumatic events lets them know that they can express themselves. They can have big feelings about it and big questions, and you are a trusted source that they can talk about all of this with, even when it's super hard to do. Let's connect. As Karen Young told us on the How to Talk to Kids About Anything podcast when we were talking about traumatic events, when we get our children to talk to us, it gives us scary situations context. What verbalizing does is soothe the emotional side of the brain. When there are big feelings without the words, that's when it's really scary. That podcast episode also, it's very helpful. It's available wherever you get your podcasts or on my website, so you can listen to that too. I feel strongly that if kids feel more connected to adults, they can talk about their feelings, their fears, their questions. They can be fully accepted as they process all of it. We are then creating the foundation for healthy adults who can be resilient and sensitive and empathetic in the face of tragedy. They have somewhere specific to turn when they are feeling anxious, when they are feeling depressed or angry. I just want to underscore how important that is right now. Let's lean into those big talks with kids so that these kids know that they can lean into us. My heart is with the families of the victims of this terrible tragedy and with all of you as we try to process it with our kids. Thank you, everybody.